Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second of our Development and Growth Committee meetings, so the 10th of March. Welcome to our Community Board members from Geraldine, Jan Finlayson. Pleasant Point, Leanne will be here shortly. And welcome to Monet from our sister city, Inua, in Japan. Welcome. So we'll get the meeting underway. I have apologies from Councillor Peter Burt, John Jackson from Temuka Community Board. Do we have any others? I'll move the acceptance of those apologies. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Mayor Nigel. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Nobody has brought any items of urgent business to me. Minor nature? No. Any declarations of conflicts of interest? No. We'll go straight to confirmation of minutes. I do actually have some matters arising, if you like. I thought we'd use this opportunity, Aaron, to cover off some of the items that were unable to be brought to this meeting. So perhaps if you'd like to give us an update on where we're at with the environmental scan, 5.6 and 5.7, the current state for asset management. We're unable to bring that today.
Yep. Yes, so thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. The environmental scan is largely completed to a draft standard, and the intent will be to bring that to this committee and or council within the next, well, either the next committee or the next month. It's just been socialised a bit wider to test the content with staff to make sure it's a fair and accurate representation, and to consider what the next steps will be from a work program perspective, so that we can present that to the committee in a full plan and how that sits together. And as alongside of that, I think it will talk quite nicely to the update on where the asset management gap analysis is at, because that forms a large part of the information that we've been looking at as part of the environmental scan.
Perfect, thank you. And largely the focus been on our water services organisation. The work that's having to go into that is consuming that capacity, if you like, at the moment too, isn't it?
Yes, the water services development creates statutory deadlines, which have been a priority for the officers as of late. And whilst the environmental scan talks to that, the water services provides a bit more of a targeted pathway that needs to be followed immediately, but is also very informative as to how it feeds back into that environmental scan process.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'll move that was a true and correct record of the previous minutes. So a second. Thank you, AJ. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Lovely. We'll go straight to our reports then. 6.1, the Actions Register update. Nothing there. So we'll just, yes, it's going to be reported today, so we'll move to close that item. Thank you, Mayor Nigel. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you, Mayor Nigel. Against? Carried. Pleased to invite Mr. Troy Titheridge to speak to report 6.2. Welcome, Troy. And I do acknowledge the work that you're having to do that's on your own for the last while, missing your partner in crime.
Kia ora koutou and good morning to you all. Good morning also to new councillors as well. Chris, Phillip and Councillor Graham Wilson, who I want to acknowledge as well but isn't here. Yes, kia ora. So this report acknowledges the Actions Register update that you sought to understand what the priorities were for the Climate Change Unit. This work primarily focuses on Council's operations. The document does not commit Council to any new spending, but is merely there to help inform the priorities for the next long-term plan, as well as highlight the progress that has been made since the report was previously endorsed by the then Environmental Services Committee in 2024. I welcome any questions that you may have, and thank you.
Thank you, Troy. I do have a few, but first I'll just invite any questions we might have from the committee members. I'll get started then. Under your the mitigation heading, measuring our emissions in an effort towards reducing them, and it says the next steps for 26-27 to present the audited carbon inventory to the committee. Can you remind me who audits that?
That's Toitu EnviroCare. So they're an independent auditor, and every 2 years they audit our carbon inventory. Over the past few weeks, I've been involved in that audit of that carbon inventory for 24-25, and intend to present the findings of that at an upcoming meeting to Standing Committee. Yeah.
Thank you. Is that a statutory requirement that it is externally audited?
For us, in terms of if we seek to implement emissions reduction targets, having an independently verified report enables us to potentially apply for funding through LGFA to pursue emissions reduction projects.
Thank you. On the next page, exploring power generation from solar PV at council sites.
Yes.
Initial scoping and analysis you're looking towards for Seabay. Are there opportunities to explore more potential sites, particularly those that operate through the day?
I've had discussions with Mike Wrigley, and acknowledge that he's in the room today as well, regarding Seabay, and also some brief conversations about Pleasant Point as well. I think there is opportunity, given the energy volatilities at the moment that we're seeing, particularly with LPG and also petrol and diesel, that solar is an excellent opportunity there to harness renewable energy and reduce our ongoing operational costs, particularly for periods where our hydro dams may be low, as we go into warmer seasons and a climate uncertain environment. So I think, yes, there is opportunity there to explore, and indeed I would seek some council units to look at the opportunities for solar installations on indeed our main building here, but obviously all these require assessments, engineering assessments as well.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Chair, just through you.
Nigel?
Troy, just recently we have an entity that's been introduced to us by Invest NZ middle of last year around broader renewable energy projects for the Central South Island, as well as infrastructure investment, etc. We met with the Mayor, the CE, and GM Water, I call them, but Andrew, a couple of weeks ago. So exactly what you're talking about was one of the topics of discussion, so I'll connect with you direct in relation to that. So
yeah, and I understand, based on some brief correspondence with Fraser Munro at TDHL, they're looking at also understanding some solar feasibility assessments as well. So I'm in conversations with TDHL on that, and looking at certainly our most power-hungry sites that we operate and control.
And on the next page there, Troy, reduce emissions from wastewater speaks to some collaboration with the drainage and water unit. Those things are already happening, and are they going to will we see this feeding into asset management plans, do you think?
Yeah, I've had discussions with the General Manager of Drainage and Water. Certainly, we've had discussions on solar, particularly where there are areas such as drinking water protection zones, which you can't actually have any sort of farming or development on them, so that presents an opportunity where solar could potentially be established. And indeed, I know that certainly in other areas across the country, they look at solar on their wastewater treatment plant ponds, and I mean that obviously requires a significant capital investment, but obviously all these require business cases, and if any projects do pass muster, they'll no doubt be brought into LTP. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. And moving ahead to adaptation, stage approaches and responses to coastline and river defences, and the next steps there, support where possible the development of trigger points and stage response pathways in coordination with ECAN. Can you talk a bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so Timaru District Council is a member of the Canterbury Climate Partnership Plan via the Mayoral Forum, and Environment Canterbury are a member of that and provide secretarial support as well as staff time into that. A lot of work is currently taking place, and climate change and the work, the research that goes in behind it is a very slow beast, and I can assure you that the work and the reports that are being undertaken at the moment, particularly around adaptation, resiliency and hazard mapping, will absolutely be vital, I think, for us, particularly given the very devastating events that we've seen in the North Island, Papamoa, Mount Maunganui, to understand our risks better. So our ongoing collaboration with Environment Canterbury through the Canterbury Climate Partnership Plan certainly will pay dividends in understanding our risks in that space.
Thank you, yes. Yeah. In an environment where we're surrounded by rivers, particularly important.
So Environment Canterbury has received some potential funding for stock bank work on the coast, so I'm not sure of.
Yeah, the government announced a $6 million fund to invest here in Canterbury for flooding and stock bank protection measures. So we obviously monitor that and see where the opportunities, particularly for where ECAN could potentially look at applying that funding, but we'll wait and see at this moment in time here.
So, through you, Mr. Chair, that funding is being implemented at the moment by Environment Canterbury and along our coast from Waitātakau to just north of our ponds, and I'm sure if you would like, Environment Canterbury welcome the opportunity to come and present to this committee on some of the work they're doing, because it is great work in relation to shifting that coastal drain and realigning the stop banks to provide a more natural and buffer to the coast and how that interacts along there. So,
yeah, I think so. I think there'd be benefit in that. Yeah, thank you. Yep, yes, please. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. I think, Chris Forth came and gave us an update, but at some time ago now, I think it would be relevant to request at some point. And this probably is probably one of the risks, I think, or the lead risk as we go into reform in and around who funds these very important stop banks, and so that analysis is going to be critical for us moving forward to understand the numbers and where that's coming from moving forward, because small populations struggle to fund significant infrastructure. So we're just going to tread through that really carefully.
Thank you. Looking over to agricultural and business adaptation. Now, I'm just interested, face value, I wonder about the energy that should go on into this as an action, because you can prove me wrong, I'm not convinced that the ag sector has or ever will look to us for leadership on this.
Yeah. I'll probably defer to Nigel Davenport maybe to respond to this, but I certainly know through Venture Timuru's initiative Sustainable is Attainable, there's a lot of businesses and ag sector businesses, particularly in Washdyke, who have implemented a lot of decarbonisation initiatives, which is all part of the greater good, and certainly out in Fonterra as well, through the decarbonisation efforts, and transitioning away from coal into wood chip is certainly a great thing to be proud of. And Nigel, if I defer to you, perhaps you might have anything to comment.
Yeah, thanks, Troy, and again through you, Mr. Chair. At the end of the day, the decisions that are made either by companies or individuals are informed by the broader community. The initiative that you refer to, Sustainable is Attainable, was more getting those food processors around the table that had similar issues in relation to their waste. But ultimately, the decisions that they make in this space are driven by themselves. Our role as the EDA was just ensuring that those of all different shapes and sizes had the ability to sort of meet with each other and share the war stories and grab the shirt tail, or the coat tail and go along for the ride. So, look, in terms of decarbonisation, the RETA program was done a couple of years ago. A number of those decarbonisation projects over the last couple of years, when the economic environment's been a bit tough, have been deferred. Some of them are coming back on stream now. Some of them are being looked at haste, I think. But ultimately, I tend to agree with you, Mr. Chair, that these entities, regardless of their size and shape, they developed their own priorities and as to the timing and when that will be done. And we collectively in this room and further afield, have that role just to make sure that we're sitting alongside them and enabling them where they can. So, and especially, you talk about Fonterra, they're a big beast in their own right, and their decision to move forward with some of those initiatives are very much nationally led, but they have a role to play, which we help facilitate, obviously, in informing those around the district of what they're doing and how it's going.
So currently it's pretty much, as far as that support's happening, that's sitting with VT. So I'm just mindful of this is quite the program of work.
Yeah.
So this, I just question the value of your time being spent on it.
Yeah, it's worth noting though that those topics were not prioritised for the climate change unit internally in 2024. The elected members may wish to revisit that going into 2027, but certainly the climate change unit's focus has been on those ones that have been prioritised, and less so the ones that were not.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, Councillor Jackson.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Good report, Troy, well done, and carrying on the great work by Reece too before you, so thank you for that. I was going to ask a bit about solar as well, so I'm pleased to see that we are making some moves with that. Look forward to seeing those considerations in the LTP when they come up. The other thing I was going to ask was just regarding the community events that are coming up. So what sort of community groups are out there at the moment actively campaigning for climate change? It just seems to have quietened down a wee bit over the last couple of years, but are there still people out in the community that we're actively engaging in regarding climate change? There's always climate champions out in our community. They may not always be out there in all their colour, but certainly we're always in correspondence with community groups and climate champions. This work is
is not one that can be taken in big leaps and bounds. Some of those smaller actions are part of the greater good that we work towards the bigger goal. So, we always are in correspondence with community groups and to continue that climate change mahi. Yeah.
Just continuing on, I've just put a note here, and I read this like before the weekend, so, but on page 30, I put down here, how long for an update on water meters? And I know there was money, I think, in the LTP for 2027, wasn't there, for water meters? Am I right, or am I wrong there? There is, isn't there?
That investment will become...
Does it become part of the water
It will
entity?
become the work for the new water entity.
Right, gotcha. Okay. Thanks. That was all from me, thanks.
No further questions? No. Well, we'll go to the recommendation that the Development and Growth Committee receive and endorse the climate change mitigation and adaptation priorities for 26-27. Do I have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Thomas, seconder. Councillor Jackson. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you very much, Troy, and thanks for your work on this. And incidentally, you did note our new members. If you are able, please, to share some of the information that goes in behind this, like the Climate Change Partnership Plan and what have you, that would be most appreciated. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go to 6.3, our building control update, and invite Mr. Jason Ellis. Welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. For those who are new to the round table, so to speak, I'm Jason Ellis, the Building Control Manager, and have been with Council for close to 18 years. So, Manager of the unit for the last 9, and have been in the building industry for 40 years. So, that's me in a nutshell. Thank you for the opportunity of providing this update. We have been on quite a journey in such a very short space of time. And for those that aren't familiar with a regulatory environment, typically the regulatory space or the wheel turns very, very slowly. So when we got a new government and the coalition agreements that followed, there has been a lot of change as a result of those, and that has been coming thick and fast. So the report that is presented today is, as it suggests, an update. I presented about 12 months ago, actually, nearly to the day, on the future plans of building control and what that might look like. So this is in part a bit of a follow-on from that, as well as updating the many things that we have implemented as a result of trying to move forward with the change, become more effective and efficient in terms of performing the regulatory functions in the building space. So I'll take the report as read. There is, though, however, one particular aspect I'd like to just quickly highlight, and happy to take any questions relating to it. Excuse me. And that is quite a significant change, and we are actually leading, dare I say it, the country in terms of this particular initiative, and that is looking at how we have engaged processing, approving, inspecting and certifying building consents outside the Timaru district. This is an initiative that we're quite proud of in terms of getting the support from those that need to provide it, i.e. MB, for example, and IANZ, who are the external provider for our accreditation assessments. And it'd be fair to say that it initially met a little bit of resistance, but certainly over recent months there's been a lot more dare I say it, understanding, and certainly a lot more appreciative focus on what it is that we're trying to achieve and the reasons behind that. And it's not necessarily such a threat that it might have initially come across as. So yeah, that is something that is we're developing more and more as we work through that process of engaging those that want to use the Timaru District Council and the Building Control Authority as their regulator of choice when it comes to building consents. And we have certainly and are engaging with our local design and construction community to strengthen those relationships and also look at how we can develop those further so that basically everyone's a winner from it. All right. So look, that's it from as far as that's concerned. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. A good timely update, given that it was 12 months ago and we wanted to head or signalled to you that we wanted to go ahead as a unit. So it's exciting to read this. I'll go to other members for questions. Mayor Nigel.
Thanks. Probably just more of an action. I'm conscious that we've had really good water conversations, and we did talk with Mackenzie probably at a governance level and had better willingness around some of these conversations to work together. So I just think we need to pick that up somewhere, and whether it sits under this committee or it's that established relationship that Graham and I have got, maybe we just raise that again, because I think we need to keep pushing forward since we are having some success, and it sort of makes sense, I think. But we can take that one offline. But one question I have, and it's from the paper this afternoon, but a question on the rate deficit that sits within building and the pathway to break even. We still have significant general rate, as most councils likely do. But have you, along with Mr. Cooper, given some thought on how we get to that break-even point? Obviously, we've got commercial operators in there which don't have the benefit of that ratepayer subsidy. Also taking into account that we're doing elements of work that they aren't doing, so it's not apples for apples. But what's your thinking on that?
Thank you, Nigel. There's, to be fair, been constant thinking, and Paul and I discuss it pretty much daily, to be fair. There's a lot to unpack in terms of what that might look like and how then to go about giving effect to reducing that, the rate reliance, if you like. One of the key factors, and this is going back to what I mentioned before about doing these consents outside of the Timaru district. One of the drivers behind that is trying to retain sustainability. So typically we would just wait for consents to come in the door, right? And you're dealing with things that are in your own district, and that's just how it operates and has done for ever. So breaking that particular mould and looking at, well, what does it actually mean? And when we are doing that work outside of our district, what's that actually going to mean for us? So obviously it's going to mean an increase of workflow. The end result of that will be an increase in terms of revenue. There's also the increase of some costs related to that. But ultimately and as I've also mentioned in the paper, around the more accurate recording of our time, making sure that we are being able to retrieve that time or recoup that time in terms of revenue through the invoicing of the consents and any other functions that we perform, all play a part of that particular picture in terms of trying to reduce that rate reliance. So that sort of fundamentally is how we're trying to attack it. We don't really have much control over what's within our own district. So tapping into what's outside of the district really is a way in which we can increase that revenue stream, if you like, by ensuring that we are keeping that tension within the team, making sure that we are as lean as we possibly can be without breaking, so to speak. And also the opportunity, look, honestly, I'm actually quite excited about how we are focusing on developing these other relationships, which we've never really sort of explored before. And so this is actually opening up such a wide range of options that is there to explore. And we're really only at the beginning of what that might look like. So my job now, as being the responsibility, is to start building those relationships and increasing that workload. So that's how we see that main change coming, to be fair.
Thank you. And I think there's some challenges on this particular point, but we've sort of talked about previously the opportunity for AI in building. We were talking about it with rationale with the environmental scan again on last Tuesday. And one of the pinch points challenges was with a LIM and the requirement for it still to need that manual checking. For my understanding, and Nigel, you might be able to speak to this as well, is there an integration challenge with the software that sits there? Because I just think this is a great opportunity to help the efficiency part of building for us to be really match fit.
So there's two different software. So the LIM software is a product that was built in-house that sits over our database. And our database has 9 different departments, 9 or 10 departments that are putting their data into that database, of which building is only one of them. The data that which we are drawing from still needs a lot of work, and we had some conversations after rationale, and there is things called, what are they called? Agents. AI agents, which is a new term to me. And apparently we're going to start looking at, can the AI agents actually assist us to actually make our data a lot more robust. And the other thing we're also going to do is, from the internal audit, from the LIM, from the LIM internal audit told us that we still got 9 departments looking at every single LIM, and if you go under that, there's probably only 2 or 3 departments that actually probably need to look at it. The others are probably robust enough that actually you could just leave them alone. So there's some work to be done on that. The other side, in terms of AI being used in building consents and so forth, you can talk to that more than me, but that's a different system, and they are sort of talking about that, aren't they?
Yes, that's right, Nigel. Our consenting software provider, Objective, currently working on how to use AI in terms of the consent process. Now, there's many fundamentals which, whilst the use of AI can and will be part of it, it will be somewhat limited in terms of what it can actually do. The fundamental function of the building consent process is the assessment of whether work complies and making that decision and recording it as such. Now, as it currently stands, that is and can only be done by a human element, because the considerations that need to be made are far too complex for AI to unpack that and to have something that's produced at the end that you can actually rely on. Because at the end of the day, when you push go on a building consent, then the Building Consent Authority and the TA are responsible. So good, bad and otherwise, right? So we need to make sure that whatever decisions get made, should that be the case in the future, then they are as robust as they are now, or no less robust than what they are now. Having said that, there are elements within the greater consent process that AI can potentially attribute some advantages to, and that is currently being worked on with Objective at the moment.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think there's an opportunity to just keep on top of this from a governance point of view, and I'd like maybe as an action for I don't know whether it sits here or not. Thank you for coming to the table, Justin, but I'd like to see, certainly in a year's time that we've made some movement, because this is the opportunity to be quite efficient in these sort of spaces. So maybe could we request some reporting back, even in maybe a 6-month time period? And I assume this, I don't want to put you under the bus, Aaron, but I assume, you're looking at what the opportunity might be within a planning aspect as well. Where there's significant analysis from individuals, I would have thought that was a real opportunity for AI space.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor, and through the Chair. I think that's something that we could collaborate on with Mr Baggist around, probably not just confined to the planning or building unit, but how AI has been implemented through the council, because it obviously provides a lot of opportunities for efficiencies, and I know Mr Baggist is already doing a lot of work in that space. So if this committee is the right way for us to report that, I think it would be something we can do at a time frame that suits the committee as to what initiatives have been rolled out across council.
Maybe, and it might not be this committee, it might be through the council, but at least pick it up as an action now. Maybe if within a 3-month period we can get a report around, where you guys definitely see the opportunities, what are the restraints that are sitting in, sitting in front of us to move that forward, if you like, just so we as a governance team have an understanding, and then we can step through that to help you guys support your elements of council.
Sounds very... Do you want to speak to that at all, Justin? Would you like to speak to that at all? No, that's good, yep.
Just for you, Mr Chair, is it worthwhile maybe like having a bit of a workshop on AI and how it's going to affect councils moving forward and that sort of thing, or is that getting a step ahead?
I mean, maybe, and I'd take guidance from the experts.
I think if we were to become an AI proficient council, there needs a lot of training, because quite frankly, I think we're all a bit DIY people, and we're all having a crack, but actually we probably need to actually, if we want to make the most of AI, then we're going to have to get some training in and some thinking and so forth. We've got some great people that are on that journey, but others are not even started. I know that I seen one company, and they have 98% of their staff fully trained on AI and are utilising it all the time. And that's the sort of thing we need to start thinking hard about. Yeah.
I agree. Through you, Mr Chair. I've seen some survey results from right across New Zealand, and councils are typically in a very low maturity level for AI usage. So it is a new area for councils specifically. The public sector are kind of leading the way in that area, so we've got a bit of catch up to play. But there is definitely, there needs to be a culture built around it. And with some of our projects that we've got in terms of moving our data on-prem to off-prem, we are looking at the same time of making that AI ready. So that is in a lot of our thinking and a lot of our projects coming in. So, but there's still a lot of work to happen in that area, but happy to share any updates on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think initially an action point, as per me, Nigel's request there, is where we need to go. And us as elected members, we probably need to pull our fingers out and actually start using it for what we need to use it for as well. But the need really is inside the offices before us, I think.
Like that environmental scan workshop we had.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was good.
To get the environmental scan really up to level, AI should be right in there alongside us. Because every time we look at something, we should be going, what does the AI think about this? I'm probably talking through a hole in my head because exactly one person that doesn't use it, but we should be, because it would just help our staff so much more. And I think our products that we produce whether it be reports or strategies or plans, they'd be so much better.
And I think you'd be quite excited about that too, Justin. So I think Justin's going to go away from here thinking, right, happen. Brilliant.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, to get it back to building, which is what we were
Thank you, Nigel.
talking about it. I like the initiatives, and I just think we need to, we're doing all the right things. What more can we do, to help us become really efficient? One, delivering a really good product, and I think that's, really the focus, but also on that, that goal of break even at some point. And I'm not saying that has to be tomorrow, because it's a big challenge. I get that, but at a point in the future, yeah.
Are we breaking even on the near neighbour consenting, permits? Do we, how many we do the Mackenzie, for instance, don't we, with the building consents? No, none.
We do a few.
We're doing a few of them, yes.
Well, the new consenting system, let's see, you've got 30 councils there using the objective build. What are the other 60? Is there 64 councils in the country? 67? What are the other 34 or 37 doing? And have they got anything better? And if this is really good, why can't we? What are the near neighbours? Do you know what the near neighbours are using?
Sure. So there are projected to be 47 BCAs by the end of this calendar year using objective build nationwide. As it currently stands, there are, I did the calculation, 15 BCAs throughout the South Island will be live using objective build by the end of the year. And of course, I'm not familiar with the North Island, but having said that, our southern group, which is basically from Mackenzie South, with the Southern Building Controls Group, and we meet quarterly throughout the year. Out of that group, 11 of us, 9 are and will be on objective build by the end of the year. Mackenzie is one of them. And Waimate is about to go about the middle of the year. And so the only 2 that actually won't be will be Queenstown Lakes and Dunedin. All the rest will be on objective build by the end of the year. So what that can mean is, and as what Nigel was sort of alluding to earlier, was developing these better working relationships, shall we say, with other councils, and certainly in the BCA space, so that we can look at what that might mean going forward, now that we'll be all using the same software, which makes that collaboration a whole lot easier. But in terms of the consents that we're doing outside of the district, if that's part of the question you're asking. A building consent is a building consent, so it's exactly the same process that we go through. It doesn't matter where it is. So the costs and the revenue that go with that are basically the same as what it would be for any type of building consent. Having said that, the logistics around through the construction phase, doing the inspection side of it, obviously that is a little bit different because we're not there doing a physical inspection every time. So we do have other tools in the toolbox that allow us to, for example, remote inspections. So we've got a tool now that works extremely well in terms of sitting in the office and doing the inspection rather than having to go out on site. But we can use that for any type of inspection, and it doesn't matter where it is. So we're adopting that as part of our plan going forward for all of the work that we're doing.
So just two types of questions you answered. One is Jason and Paul have been trying hard to actually work with other councils to bring things together to actually change how building consents and so forth are actually operate across the country. But Like all councils, we actually struggle to come together. We struggle to actually look at things differently, and so therefore most BCAs are staying within their current councils, and we're sort of niggling away at the back end at trying to change that a bit. The thinking probably a year ago was we would create a CCO and have partners, other councils join us in a CCO to bring all of that into one place and create some efficiencies to actually make all the whole BCA functions probably lower cost for the person applying for that consent. Page 41 is the other question you asked. There's a great split here. So Jason's team has two functions. One is the TLA stuff that we actually pay for, and it's stuff that you can't charge to users. And at the moment, that is showing a surplus with rates of, if I look at the 25-26 year full year forecast, 1,782,000 rates going in, and the cost for that particular DLA function is 1,299, so it's got $1 million surplus. Then when you look at the BCA, which is user charges, it's about $2 million of revenue, and the costs, the expenses are about 3.2, so it's got a loss of about 1.2 million, which is being subsidised by rates going into the TLA. Now, there's a lot of work going on. Jason's doing a fantastic amount of work at looking at how do I split those costs, how do I make sure that our time is going to the right places, and looking at our efficiency. So that's still happening, and part of it is also making sure you've got the right economies of scale to get the revenue in. Because if you don't get the right economies of scale, you actually start to rely on rates. And again, that's part of trying to pull other councils together to bring those efficiencies. And it's a journey, but we're on our way. Does that sound reasonable?
Spot on. Just one thing I will add, thank you, Nigel. Within the last 7 months, up to end of January this year, we actually have increased our revenue by 23%, even though, and compared to the same time last year, even though we are 40 consents less than what we were at the same time last year. So the work, as I've mentioned in this report, and what Nigel has alluded to as well, shows that we have turned the corner. We are making a difference. The work that the team are doing has been a huge amount of change in mindset, change in looking at how we would have normally operated to what these new changes mean. And, that's no small feat by any means. And in typical fashion, most people like to just come to work, do their thing, and have the comfort in knowing what they're doing. This year, the team have with respect, have gone through the restructure, so that's a part of that change as well, but also the other changes that we're implementing as far as the building unit is concerned has been quite a changeable period of time, and does take a bit for everyone to just come to terms with and allow that to sit and understand what that actually means, so we can actually then provide some value. But we are doing that, and that's exactly what's happening. And as Nigel said, it is a journey, and we can't change things as much as we would like to straight away. So, but we are heading in the right direction, and with the extra work that we're doing to increase that, the workflow, all those positive things will come from that.
Thank you, Jason. Councillor Jackson.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's always a pleasure when you step up to the microphone, Jason. You speak so clearly and well enunciated. I never miss a word. It's fantastic. So congratulations on that, and great report too, by the way. Just something more along, your sort of work detail. Detailed digital recording or time recording. So how does that work? And you say, so it's multi-layered here, but sort of cuts out the churn. So what churn has been cut, and how are you recovering costs that are previously unaccounted for?
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. What a lovely comment. So you're right, it is pretty multi-layered, to be fair. So we are now, since August last year, we have a separate, it's effectively a spreadsheet, and so linked to all of the building consents, all the functions that we perform, but predominantly building consents, where everyone that's working within that consent and whatever it is that they're doing, they're recording time against it. So at the end of that particular job, we have a number of hours, and then there's the cost that's associated with the time that's spent on it. That cost varies depending on who's been working on it, whether it's an administration rate, a technical rate, or whatever it might be. So what I've found is that obviously there's been an increase in the cost of what building consents are as a direct result of that function, that change alone, notwithstanding the increase in the actual fees and charges. But in terms of how we are now capturing our time, has opened up the door in terms of what we were actually missing out on previously. Before we were recording our time the way we're doing it now, it was more an educated guess, dare I say it, around, here's a job, I've spent about this amount of time, it should be around about this. And that's effectively how we've operated, all right? Now that we are operating completely differently, it's highlighted that we have missed out on quite a bit of revenue historically. And that's not to say that everything that we record now is going to be chargeable, but it gives us the opportunity to review it before we invoice anything out to make sure that it is actually fit for purpose. With anything that we do in a regulatory space, certainly when it comes to something new products, new methods, that sort of thing, there's an element of understanding and learning, all right, which we shouldn't be really charging anyone for. That's on us, right? Having said that, the team and I, we're working on how we can better record that information so that what we are invoicing the end user is a lot more accurate. So when someone asks the question, why does my consent cost so much? We've actually got now some actual factual detail that we can refer back to and say, well, we've spent so much time doing this, that and the next thing, rather than just going through an itemised invoice. Yeah, more transparency, absolutely, yep.
Across the organisation, we're about to implement a new timesheet system. And I don't know where we're at with it, but effectively that timesheet will be able to record people's hours into capital projects as well as charge outs.
Is that through Altitude?
Yeah, it's elements, but yeah, through Altitude is part of our upgrade, so it's one of the key components of the upgrade.
Thank you. Be no further. Jason?
Sorry, no, I was just going to add to sort of close the loop on the timesheet thing. I just want to effectively shout out to Justin and his team, and particularly Bruce Shuker, who has spent a lot of time with Aaron's team and my team to develop this particular spreadsheet, and the work that's gone in behind that and the work that Bruce has put towards it has effectively made it and made the value of what it actually is. So it's another example, I guess, of the expertise and the knowledge that we have within the organisation and how we can make best use of that. So it's been really fantastic.
Thank you, and thanks very much for this report. And please do pass on our thanks to the team for the good work that's going on there. It's quite exciting to see the direction we're heading.
Right,
Nigel.
and just on that note, to finish through you, Mr. Chair, look, I've had just in the last weeks 2 or 3 people sort of reach out and just say the support from your team has just been absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to pass that on publicly. I know often, building and planning and those ones can be, they're an easy one to target sometimes when others haven't done the work. But I think, and some pretty major projects too. So just wanted to pass that on in a public manner.
Thank you very much.
That's great. So we'll go to the recommendation to receive a note. The mover. Me and Nigel, seconded Councillor OJ. All those in favour, please say aye out loud. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. There were no urgent business items of minor nature now, but to go off script, and I know after Mr Doran sent an email about standing orders this morning to us, I'd just like to ask our friend Mornay, did you want to address the committee at all? I knew you would. Would you like to come to the microphone? Yes.
Professional.
Wonderful. They can watch you live in Japan, Monet.
Sorry, I'm nervous right now. I just read. So, my name is Monet. I'm from Eniwa, which is sister city in Hokkaido. It's North Island in Japan. And I arrived just the day before yesterday. And I love the Timaru so much already. The food is delicious and everyone is so kind and the city is so beautiful. So I decided to come back to just like sightseeing. And I came here with my 3 students, and they just start the school from today, and they are so nervous, but I think, and also they're so excited, and I think they're gonna be like very valuable experience, and thank you very much for this like amazing experience for me and the students, and thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's a delight to have you here, and we very much do appreciate our relationship with Eniwa, which we think is great for both our wonderful districts. Me and Nigel, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, look, I'll just add in, Monet's from more education focused within the council and Eniwa City itself. And this year, the individual that we're sending over to chaperone the students, Julianne, is from South Canterbury Kindergarten Association. So Monet will spend Friday going through kindergartens, etc., and some other things with like Sir Nigel this afternoon to do a bit of a tour of the district. But it's nice to be able to do something a little bit different and with the Eniwa sister city relationship, have a focus. And they've got there's been a long-standing relationship with the Kindergarten Association and Eniwa, so I just appreciate that, continuing that on. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And on that lovely note, there being no further items. Oh, sorry, Mr Davenport, if you'd like to add to this.
Thanks, Mr Chair. Sorry, can I just clarify one thing? It was touched on very briefly, and I probably should have spoken then right at the start, Aaron. You spoke about the environmental scan. I'm just looking at our work plan that was tabled at the last meeting for this committee. And 10th of March, it's got set the scope for the development capacity assessment for the district's industrial land. We spoke about a focus it talks about Washdyke and Port, but we talked about focusing in on water and wastewater as our initial priority. Then underneath that, it's got the electricity capacity and demand across the district as well. Can you just clarify for me where I may have missed something, sorry, and it might be in further council reports, but this development capacity assessment honing in on key enablers, which are land, water, wastewater and energy, just where that's at and who's doing it, and also what the time frame is. And I suppose coming from VT's perspective, There's quite a bit of information and intel that we have gathered. I mentioned it at last meeting, specifically in relation to these 4 areas.
Those items, we did bring up those when we covered the previous minutes, which Aaron did speak to.
Yeah. It just talks about this meeting setting the scope for that development capacity. Is that been done, or it's a work plan for this?
No,
Have I got the wrong end of the stick?
yeah, no,
there?
through the chair, I think when we put the work program forward, we noted it was ambitious, and we've found that the turnaround between meetings has been too tight to produce that work, and in conjunction with the environmental scan that has been ongoing, that was the starting point, and I guess the gap analysis to what we need and what we don't. And I believe, well, as officers, we'll go away and digest that information and bring some analysis back to the next committee around what the scope and next steps may look like, and whether that is in conjunction with the work program or whether there's recommendations for slight tweaks will be in the paper. I guess, as the committee will know from the workshop with Rationale, one of the key risks is running off and doing a piece of work that sits in isolation and isn't well analysed against the broader objectives of council. So if we're to scope up, for example, just a bespoke assessment within Washdyke, that may have consequences in that it may not speak to what the wider district is doing in relation to business and housing and the like. So I guess what I'm saying is the officers are currently working on that and will bring that piece of work in a similar shape or form to what we had anticipated to the next Development and Growth or Council meeting.
Maybe I catch up with you and Elliot offline, just to let you know, just so that we're not being busy fools, I suppose, to some of the work and knowledge that we've got that might help inform that scoping.
No, it's in the
work
minutes
plan
at the
from the
start.
last
We
meeting.
covered it off at the start. It was in the previous minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page 18, I think it was, from memory.
No, I think Aaron did actually address that, why it isn't part of the agenda for this meeting. Still part of the work program, but working through other things right now.
I think through you, Mr. Chair, your point though, Ms. Davenport, is if you're the holder of some information, you should be in cahoots with these guys, so we do it well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we'll pick that up.
Cool. So, we will close the meeting at 10:04 a.m. Thank you very much, everybody, for the attendance and contribution this morning. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Maddie and Megan.